Russia seeks to establish anti-Western coalition, as you can see linked up on Mark13News.com for October 31st, 2023. And then on November 1st, Armenia, which is most likely Togarmah in Ezekiel 38, and Iran, which is Persia, signed Memorandum of Understanding as the Ezekiel 38 Confederacy continues to formulate up until the woe of the fifth trumpet, when it becomes the bear of Daniel chapter 7, when the one world political system written of in Revelation 13 comes into being, having 7 heads, which are symbolic of the 7 continents of the planet Earth, and 10 horns, which are symbolic of 10 fallen angel kings that will be cast to earth with Satan at the woe of the fifth trumpet. Daniel's 4th beast that you can read of in Daniel chapter 7 being exclusively supernatural, along with all 4 stages of the locust army written of in Revelation chapter 9 in the book of Joel, beginning with the Gnar, Swarmer, and Devourer stages in the first 2.5 months, and then after the deadly wound to the one world political system, which is most likely one or more of the countries on one of the 7 continents declaring independence from the so-called New World Order. But then Satan will appear as the Antichrist at the woe of the 6th trumpet, healing the deadly wound, and that's when the consumer stage begins, when the 4 angels will be loosed from the great river Euphrates, which are the negative counterfeit of the 4 living creatures written of in Revelation chapter 4 that surround the throne of the true Christ, who says in Luke chapter 21 verse 20, "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh." And when you look up that word translated as armies in the Greek dictionary of the Strong's Concordance, you'll find out it comes from the base of number 4756, which means an army as encamped, i.e. figuratively the angels, meaning in this case Satan's angels, when Satan appears as the false Christ in the midst of Daniel's 70th week, which was 7 years but is now 5 months. So in other words, in the middle of the 5-month-long hour of temptation is when Satan will appear as the Antichrist, causing the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations, he, meaning Satan, when he appears as the Antichrist in Jerusalem, shall make it desolate, because he's the desolator Christ warned us about in Matthew 24:15, Mark 13:14, and Luke 21:20, who appears as 666, meaning the 6th seal, the 6th trumpet, and the 6th vial, causing most Christians to cease to believe upon the true Christ and his blood that was shed on the cross and his body that was broken, which is why in Daniel 9:27 it says Satan will cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, because they'll cease to believe upon the Lamb slain, meaning the true Christ, when they're deceived into worshiping Satan instead of Christ, which is what Antichrist means. When Satan appears in Jerusalem having 2 horns like a lamb, meaning he'll claim to be the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and he'll speak as a dragon, because he is the dragon, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. And the true Christ won't return until the woe of the 7th trumpet, immediately after the 5-month-long hour of temptation, and only then does the Battle of the Valley of Hamon-Gog take place, when the Ezekiel 38 Confederacy begins to invade the mountains of Israel, meaning where the tribes were scattered to, in part, with the Battle of Armageddon happening at the same time in a separate geographic location, not far from where Jerusalem is. But again, not until the true Christ returns at the 7th trumpet, 2.5 months after Satan appears as the false Christ at the 6th trumpet. And as the true Christ says in the last verse of Mark chapter 13, "What I say unto you, I say unto all, watch."